AECF is a multi-donor funded facility. We finance agribusiness, innovative projects in agribusiness, in rural financial services, and renewable energy and climate change. We're a fund of about $180 million. I work for KPMG, Development Advisory Services. We have the management contract to run this fund on behalf of the donors. It's funded by DFID, it's funded by the Dutch, the Danes, Swedish Sida, AusAid, IFAD, and a few others. And it's a special partnership initiative of the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. We've been running now for 3 years. What our real purpose in life to do is to provide the minimum amount of money to private sector companies to make things happen that otherwise would not happen. On the one hand, it's a standard challenge fund. We use typical challenge fund methods. We advertise our competitions very broadly. We get a lot of applications. We're very clear about what the eligibility and selection criteria are. And we have an advanced system of making the selections for which projects, etc., will be funded. On the other hand, we are a very innovative challenge fund in a number of ways. We were set up to provide standard competitions across the whole of Africa, basically for agribusiness. 3 years later, we've become really a competitions platform where we can design and put together bespoke competitions for various different donors.
Well, we're only just starting to work towards implementing this standard. We started to do results chains for all of the Africa Challenge Fund projects, and they're growing in number by the day. So that's the first step, to make sure we've got the logic of intervention. Because it's a very simple concept, a challenge fund. You put money in at one end and you hope to reduce poverty at the other end. You've got to articulate that logic. You've got to see what steps are needed to get there, and what are the influences in the market which will enable that reduction in poverty to actually happen. And also to make sure you can get a proper handle on the attribution. What has your grant done to actually reduce poverty, and what is being done by others? So businesses need to concentrate on achieving their project KPIs, their business KPIs. And they're not always that interested, or they might be concerned, but they don't have the time and effort to track these wider poverty impacts, which are needed as part of the DCED process. So somehow one needs to find a means of overcoming these challenges and finding a compromise, getting businesses to engage in the process of understanding about results chains and getting them to use the concept, but also to press upon donors that it's important that if you are going to measure these impacts, it takes time and resources to do it well. And I think the initial results we've seen from these private sector challenge funds is that indeed they can have, if managed well, a quite significant impact on poverty.
And what I'm particularly here to do, and then to take back to the AECF, is a program to work with the DCED standard and the team to devise and adapt the DCED standard so that it's appropriate for a challenge fund such as ours, and that we can reach a position where the results that we are publishing in terms of the number of farming households in Africa that are benefiting and by how much they're benefiting are figures that people outside the AECF can accept as being reasonable. We, following this conference, will embark upon a process, and in order to introduce the DC standard, the results chain approaches, into the way we do our M&E. That doesn't mean we haven't been doing monitoring and evaluation up until now. It just means that we want to introduce more rigor, and we want to make our results comparable with others in private sector development. So I look forward to doing this with my team over the next few months, and hopefully we will be producing very positive results in the program. We believe they're there, but results that the world can, one, understand how we produce them, and two, accept them as being a reasonable statement of what the impact of the AECF actually has been. So I'm going to stop there, but I would encourage others in private sector development to join the DCED standard, and let's put ourselves up and measure ourselves against each other in our objectives of trying to make a difference.